The statute of limitations might be the most important thing for a client to ever be concerned about. Most clients are concerned about the strategy, the outcome, how long it's going to take. None of that matters if you don't bring your case within what's called the statute of limitations, which is just a fancy word for the time limits that our legislature has created for bringing a certain type of case. And there are different time periods depending on what type of case it is, but those time limits are the most important thing. If you don't bring your case within the certain defined limits as defined by our legislature, your case is gone. And sometimes that statute is 1 year, sometimes it's 2 years, sometimes it's 5 years, but you got to think about, what is it going to do to actually get my case to a lawyer, have them review it, and eventually file it. I mean, that can take up to 6 months, up to a year sometimes, depending on what records and unforeseen events. So it's really important to keep that in mind, to know what's out there, and to act in a timely fashion. We've seen many cases that were great cases, potentially great cases, that are brought to us, 2-3 years after the statute, that there's just nothing you can do. And that conversation is the most difficult. Just knowing that something could have been done. In medical malpractice cases, the statute of limitations is particularly important for these reasons. Number one, if you're injured, you're recovering from your injury. So from the date of the negligent act, you're already 3 or 4 months behind while you're getting into shape where you're thinking about calling a lawyer. Then your evidence in your medical malpractice case is what? Your medical records. How are you going to get them? How are you going to make sure you have all of them? Or how are you going to make sure that you have the records you need to bring them to a lawyer and evaluate a case? Next, once you bring them to a lawyer, what does he have to do with them? He has to go through them, review them, and send them to an expert to evaluate whether or not you have a case, right? That takes time. That can take up to, I've seen it take up to 3 months, 6 months, or even 8 months, depending on, what the case is about and how busy the expert is. It's not a quick turnaround. It's not something you can go to a lawyer and they can know right away to file that case. It takes time to review it if you're doing it right, which in medical malpractice cases, it's a 2-year statute. The clock is ticking, and you need to get to a lawyer who knows what they're doing because time is of the essence. The clock is ticking. It doesn't matter. You don't want that lawyer figuring out what to do or how to do it. You want that lawyer figuring out whether you have a case. And that's why it's really important you bring it to an attorney who specializes, like the Simon Law Firm does, in handling medical malpractice cases.